Hello, everybody. It's Rhonda Harris from White Wolf Consulting. Today is Sunday, November 20th in the year of 2022. And I had some time this afternoon because I was supposed to have an interview today, but that got canceled. So I thought I would just take some time and just do a quick video just to talk about some things that I was planning on talking about anyway, but this is more impromptu than what I had originally thought through. So I'm just going to put it out there. It's the end of the year, and I'm sure all of you are watching the news and seeing crazy things that are going on out there in the work world these days. I'm not going to get into too many details. You know what it is. It's November 2022. You can just look back at the headlines and see what all's going on with a lot of the big tech companies here. And it just is a painful reminder to me about some of the things that I've witnessed in my own experience over the years in being a learning and development and performance consultant. And that is the critical nature and the critical importance of leadership and strategy. Now, I'm not some big, CEO of some large company or anything like that. Anybody who knows me, I'm a self-employed consultant. I've got a pretty small company, even though I work with clients in the US as well as in Europe. I'm currently living in the Netherlands right now in The Hague, but I've got a lot of clients in the US at the moment. So while I'm not, some big time millionaire executive or whatever, I do have a lot of experience in developing leadership training programs, and I've held leadership roles in the past. And so I can speak from personal experience, both as an employee and as a manager and as a leader, of how important it is for companies to get their acts together and have not only the leadership component solidly in place, but to also be guided by their culture and just the way that they do things. So I just want to dig right in. One thing I did want to mention that I'm pretty excited about is that White Wolf Consulting will turn 7 in January of 2023. Yay. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about that. They say that most businesses don't make it, they don't make it either to 5 years or past 5 years. So I'm very excited to still be sticking around and hanging in there and doing what I love. But my focus this coming year is going to be on a few different things. I traditionally have a pretty solid background, a very long-term background in learning and development, and I've done performance consulting as well. And so, but primarily I've done a lot of corporate training projects and things of that nature. And in my experience, I always run into a situation where it's not training that's needed. There's concerns around employee performance, customer satisfaction scores, productivity, employee engagement, things of that nature. And it's striking to me the number of times that I am asked to produce training to solve these problems. And often those problems are not a result of a lack of training, which training specifically is needed when there is a gap in knowledge and skills. So think, if you will, about an individual and their day-to-day job. Ask yourself, does this person know how to do their job? Do they know how to connect the dots, build the widgets, whatever the case may be? I have found so many times over the years that the answer is yes. They actually do know how to do their jobs. If they're not doing the job properly, that doesn't automatically assume that they somehow forgot what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, when they're supposed to do it, the standards, etc. Sometimes they have competing incentives. Sometimes there's poor management. Sometimes there's a broken business process that needs to be fixed. Or sometimes there's just a crummy culture that is not very motivating. And, people are motivated by a lot of different things. It's not always money. It's not always recognition. It could be a variety of things. So one of the things that I have taken an interest in is doing more change management work. I'm working on a project right now with a company in the US that is going to be adjusting one of their major certification programs. And as a component of doing that, I spoke with them and I said, if you're going to make all these changes, you would want to implement a change management initiative so that you can get people to embrace this change. That's what's missing a lot of times, even in training initiatives. Sometimes training happens as a result of some other major overarching change that's happening in the organization. And while training will fix the concerns around training people how to do something differently this time, or there's new rules, or maybe there's a new interface, software program that they need to learn. That's all fine and well, but to get people ready, first of all, to track their awareness and see what do they already know about the existing situation. And then, to do things to communicate well with them, to get them to be desirous of making this change. There's a whole model behind it. And that's not the purpose of this video. But change initiatives are equally important. Anytime you have a major undertaking like a big training initiative or new leadership, onboarding, a change in culture, organizational a reorg of the company, anything that's going to kind of disrupt the status quo, you want to implement a change initiative into anything else that you're doing as a result. The other thing that I have taken an interest in, and I'm getting my certification in right now, in the process of working towards my credential, is the value of coaching. So I've mentored people in the past, and I myself have used coaching services, and I found them to be quite valuable in my personal and professional life. And I had always been interested and wanted to become a coach. And so I finally set out to get the education around that. So I am a member of the International Coach Federation, ICF. So they're a gold standard accrediting authority for coach certification programs, et cetera. So I'm really looking forward to that. And what does this mean for White Wolf for 2023? So what this means is, because of the work that I've done, and I've had an opportunity to do a variety of different projects, and I've seen a lot of different needs, and it's all been really super interesting. I have an even more holistic view about how I would like to move forward with what I offer. I see the value in taking a people-first approach to helping companies enhance their workforce, whether it's from the time of looking at candidates for new roles. So for new hires, there are quite a variety of assessments that can be given to people to see if they're a good fit for the organization. I'm a certified practitioner for Myers-Briggs Type Indicator and the Strong Interest Inventory, and those are quite valuable to identify people's personality types, their strengths, et cetera, their preferences, to make sure they're aligned for the right roles within the organization. That's kind of where the Strong Interest Inventory comes in as well. So I've done some work around that, and it's been really very satisfying to work with people and see them gain clarity from taking those assessments. So how those can benefit an organization is to give those instruments to individuals as they're considering them for employment for the company to make sure they're in the right role within the company. Then, of course, there's traditional learning and development, which I've been doing for quite a while. Obviously, new hires are going to need some sort of training. So, training, the training piece is already in place. But the change management piece and the coaching piece, I'm really super excited about. As it turns out, as a part of learning and development projects, you always have a component of change management that's kind of woven in there by default, kind of naturally, if you're in fact, doing your learning and development correctly. But to have a more deliberate approach is something that I'm super excited about and looking forward to gaining my certification around that body of work as well. But the coaching part, I find really fascinating. I can remember years ago when I was in a management position and I kind of got, promoted into, a new role. I was a new manager at the time, and I just didn't have a lot of support. I got sent to training. If I was lucky enough, I would get sent to training, depending on, there's a few different roles, experiences, different companies that I'm remembering right now. But there was an instance where I didn't get sent to training at first. It was just trial by fire. And just that was a horrible experience, not supported by my superiors, didn't get the right training in a timely manner. When I finally did get the training that I needed and I realized all that I had been missing out on, then I was angry at my manager for keeping me from that. So it really didn't help my morale. So imagine, if you will, how that impacts an organization, and that trickles down and that spreads, and it just doesn't fare well for anybody. Nobody wins in that situation. Then I had other instances where I had a mentor from an HR department who saw some potential. They saw that I needed some support. They acted very quickly they sent me out to their corporate office for a week where I got some training and I got to meet some folks. And, that was a completely different experience. Not only did it help me to be a better manager and, really fully step into the role that I had been promoted into a lot more quickly, but it also just made me a much happier employee. And I was completely engaged, and I was quite loyal, and I was happy, and I was willing to go above and beyond because I felt cared about, I felt valued, I felt seen, seen and recognized. And that's such a big, huge difference. And having someone to mentor me and to coach me was an invaluable asset, not only to my career, but to the output that happened as a result, because I was a much better employee. So I'm seeing the big picture. I've been seeing the big picture, but I was kind of on the learning and development merry-go-round and sort of trapped in scenarios where I didn't have a voice or the authority to really kind of step up and say, hey, listen, I really think you should be doing these things. But now that I'm self-employed and I have got my own business and I'm working directly with clients, I do have a little bit more of a voice. And over the past, I'd say 3 years, it has really come full circle, and it's just undeniable now. So I'm in the process of rebranding and cultivating new messaging around my business. So I hope that you stay tuned for that. And I'll be putting out some information, more videos like this. I know I have to beef up my social media game. I'm so guilty of being very inconsistent with that because I'm just busy. But I hope to have someone new coming on board to help me with that shortly. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to put the word out there and just give you guys something to think about So I just want you to ask yourself, what would it take for you or a person who's a leader within your company to really think about the message that you're sending to your employees, particularly, new managers? How valuable do you make them feel? Just think about the way that your company is going about training, engaging, retaining, recruiting employees, and implementing best practices, living their values, really demonstrating the culture of the company. How's that going? This is not a sales pitch. This is just me expressing myself about how passionately I feel about these topics. And especially with the backdrop of some of the things that are going on right now, wow, it's like really poignant and it's very timely. So, yeah, just food for thought. Thank you for listening. And, stay tuned to my White Wolf Consulting's LinkedIn business page. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and the YouTube channel as well. And if you don't mind, please just, subscribe to the channel, like and share, engage, come talk to me. If you have any questions, just send me a message. All kinds of ways of contacting me are out there. So you guys have a fantastic week coming up, and enjoy your Thanksgiving for those of you in the US. And I will see you again soon. Take care.